All right, so we've got this, let's just call it an interesting request. Someone's requested a deep dive, and, well, it's a love story.
A love story, huh?
Yeah, but here's the thing. They specifically want a story about a successful marriage between, get this, a Nigerian man and a Filipino woman.
Okay, interesting combination. Culturally speaking, that is.
Right. But here's the kicker. They want the story to focus only on the loving things. Just the quote-unquote loving thing.
Loving things.
Yeah. So that's our challenge today, to unpack this request and, well, see where it takes us.
All right, I'm game. Where should we start?
Well, I mean, the first thing that jumps out is the specific cultural mix, right? A Nigerian man, a Filipino woman. It feels very intentional, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's like the requester wants to see these two cultures, Nigerian and Filipino, explored within the context of a loving relationship.
Exactly. And that makes me think about shared values.
Yeah.
Both cultures, at least from what I know,
Mm-hmm.
are very family-oriented.
Oh, absolutely. Family is everything in both Nigerian and Filipino cultures. It's the bedrock, the foundation upon which everything else is built. And that shared emphasis on family, that could definitely be a strong foundation for a marriage, don't you think?
It totally could. But then, how do you even begin to unpack this whole loving things angle? What do you make of that?
Well, it makes me think the requester is looking for a story that celebrates the positive, highlighting the beauty of love and respect, especially in an intercultural marriage.
Okay, yeah, I see that. Like, they want to see those cultures represented in a positive light. Not just the differences, but how those differences can be, well, advantageous maybe even.
Exactly. It's about showcasing those unique expressions of love you find within each culture. Like, take the Philippines, for example. They have this beautiful tradition called harana. Ever heard of it?
Harana. I don't think so. Fill me in.
So harana is this really romantic tradition where a man, he tries to win over the heart of a woman by singing to her outside her window.
Oh, wow. Like a serenade.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about grand gestures and public declarations of love. And then on the other hand, you have Nigerian weddings, which are known for their vibrancy, their colorful celebrations, and the deep involvement of family in every single aspect.
Now that you mention it, I did see a documentary once about Nigerian weddings, and I remember them being incredibly lively and full of life, so full of joy. It's like the more, the merrier, right?
Exactly. It's all about community, celebrating this union with everyone. And it just goes to show you love is celebrated in such distinct, beautiful ways in different cultures.
Okay, so that's a good starting point. We've got family, we've got these rich traditions. But what about the everyday stuff? How might the story show those little intimate moments of love?
Oh, those small gestures are everything, right? Like maybe he learns a few Tagalog phrases to surprise her, or she cooks him his favorite Nigerian meal. It's those everyday things that speak volumes.
Or even just navigating the differences in, say, cuisine. Filipino food is known for its, bold flavors. And Nigerian food has that incredible richness and spice.
Imagine the dinner conversations. Sharing those flavors, learning about each other's culinary traditions, that's love too, right? Food is such a powerful way to connect.
It really is. It's like a window into someone's culture, their history even. Okay, but we're talking about a marriage here, right? And marriages, even those built on shared values, they face challenges, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And navigating cultural differences adds another layer, doesn't it?
Exactly. And yet, the request, it doesn't mention any of that. No arguments, no misunderstandings, just loving things.
Right. Which is interesting, isn't it? Like, are we supposed to assume this couple just glides through life without a single disagreement? It almost feels, I don't know, sanitized somehow, too perfect.
Yeah, and real relationships aren't like that, are they? They're messy, they're complicated, they require work. And sometimes those differences, they can lead to some pretty big bumps in the road.
Oh, for sure. But then again, maybe that's not what the requester is after here. Maybe they're tired of the same old narratives, the ones that focus on conflict and struggle. Maybe they just want a story that celebrates the good stuff.
That's a good point. Maybe they just want a little bit of hope, a little bit of positivity.
Right, because let's face it, the world can feel pretty heavy sometimes. Maybe this request, it's a reminder that love, even with all its complexities, can thrive even across cultures.
It really makes you think about the power of stories, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How they shape our understanding of the world and each other. Maybe this request, with its emphasis on loving things, is less about a literal absence of challenges and more about choosing to focus on the good, on the things that bring joy and connection.
Exactly. And maybe that's the lesson here. Love stories don't always have to be about overcoming obstacles. Sometimes it's about celebrating the little things, the shared moments, the quiet understanding that can exist between two people, regardless of their backgrounds.
And isn't that a lovely thought to leave our listeners with? The power of focusing on the loving things, not just in stories, but in our own lives as well.
Now you've got me thinking, what are the loving things in my own life?
That's a great question. One we should all ask ourselves, probably.
Agreed. All right, on to the next deep dive. What do we have?
Let's see.